All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we are once again here to check out the 2020 BMW 740i with the xDrive, of course. And who do we have to thank for this little opportunity? Well, it is none other than Johnson Lexus of Durham, North Carolina. So if you're interested in this BMW or really any Lexus product, you may hit up Danny and he'll be more than happy to help you out. So all the dealership information and Danny's information will be down in the description box below, so please do check them out. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and take this bad boy out for a spin, shall we? Because I actually filmed a Mercedes S-Class versus LS 460 video. So I drove the 2015 S-Class and all that good stuff, and pretty much every big body vehicle aside from the A8, but I did drive a S7 Audi, so there is that. And speaking of 7 Series, I have driven a 2014 750 Li actually, and that thing was a monster. So obviously in 2016, these vehicles got redesigned. I did not drive that particular model, but this is the 2020 model year, and it got refreshed once again. So there's that. But I guess with all good things, let's start talking about the looks of this car, because that was one of the main things that they're quite proud of. You know, they shoved that big old grill on the front. So let me know in the comment section how you feel about the big grill, because that was something they really like to tout, and they really like to mention that in the press releases and all that good stuff, how they enlarged the kidney grills. So me personally, if you want my opinion on it, I'm all for it. I love the big grille. Do you know how prestigious and baller this thing looks in the rear view mirror of another car? I mean, a lot of people, they like to mock what they cannot have, but dude, you can't deny it. This thing does look the part. It does stand out. It does mean business. So there's that. However, you know, I saw the 4 Series. I wasn't a huge fan of that. On the 7 Series and in the X7 SUV, I'm all for it. I absolutely love it. Aside from the grille, they've always had a nice, clean design. Another thing that they did was they, thinned out the headlights, so they tried to make that a little bit slimmer. So that was another little sleek design to kind of match the rear taillights. So there's that. I was about to see. Yeah, this is not the 750i or anything like that, but dude, this thing does like to get up and move. But anyway, this is not the extended wheelbase vehicle, but it might as well be, because this thing is absolutely gargantuan, dude. This thing, I'll talk more about it in the interior segment, but you have plenty of space back there. Don't even worry about it. But anyway, it's not the extended wheelbase, but it is the xDrive. So there's that. Now on to more pressing matters like this drive. So when you get to this class and category of vehicle, all these vehicles they're pretty much like the best cars you can get in the planet, essentially. These are, this vehicle, this is the underpinnings for things like the Rolls-Royce Ghost. You know what I'm saying? All these vehicles like Audi A8, it's the underpinnings for a Bentley Flying Spur or whatever it is. You got effortless passing power out of this thing, and it truly does isolate you, dude. Let me tell you one thing. This does not feel like any of the other BMWs. A lot of the things, if you're new to this channel, some of the things I really complain about with new BMWs is their insanely synthetic steering feel. Like they're like overweighted for no reason, and their ride quality is super harsh in some of their vehicles. And both of those things are completely resolved, essentially. I mean, this steering, you can literally just whip it with the pinky, you know what I'm saying? It's slightly, like a hair tighter than the Mercedes S-Class, but for the most part, very good stuff. Don't even worry about it. This thing continues to use the double wishbone suspension as well as the multi-link in the rear. They continue to refine these things. NVH was a huge focus that they had for this particular vehicle. I think they talked more about this for the 750 and the 760, but they made the glass like 0.2 inches thicker for the front windshield, the sides, and the rear. I don't think it applies here. When I checked, it doesn't have like the double pane glass thing. However, it's a very thick piece of glass. So, I mean, it might as well be double pane because it's a very thick piece of glass and it's so freaking quiet in here. This thing weighs about close to 4,400 pounds because it has the all-wheel drive system on it. And the all-wheel drive, obviously, it's going to make it a very versatile vehicle, very stable in its driving manner, but it's such a long wheelbase car, even the rear wheel drive is not going to be an issue. This particular model is running on 18-inch wheels, and some of you might like this, some of you may not, but the air suspension comes as standard on all of the 7 Series vehicles, so there is that. So this is pretty much the best riding 7 Series you can get. 18s, air suspension, all that good stuff. So there you go. See, you're about to chuck it into this corner. got all kinds of carbon core technologies and all that good stuff. Now that was a healthy speed right there. Some of you might be looking at this, you might be looking at the spec sheets, you're probably like, dude, 3-liter inline-six-cylinder with 335 horsepower, 330 pounds-feet of torque, or it might be reversed, whatever it is. You might be like, dude, that's nothing for such a big vehicle. Let me tell you something. In the xDrive version of this vehicle, this thing will do 0 to 60 in like 4.8 seconds. So it's definitely no slouch, but again, I don't care about numbers. That thrust, that speed was unbelievable, dude. This thing pulls like a V8. I swear to you, this is so freaking quick. Honestly, this has a better sensation of power and speed than the S-Class does, like the S550 does, with the insane twin-turbo V8 and all that stuff that a lot of people like to praise, with 516 pounds-feet of torque. The S-Class does not feel like it's power. You know what I'm saying? It's really neutered with a lot of turbo lag and all that stuff. That's where BMW comes in. BMW, their engine and their transmissions, dude, they react so freaking fast. It's one of the highlights with these vehicles. Playing with the paddles here. It's such crispy gear shift, so I love that. You have little modes you can play with here. Of course, you can put in the sport mode, it'll just kick you down a gear, all that good stuff, kind of firm up the suspension, if you will. It definitely did make a difference with the steering wheel, so I do kind of like that. The steering feels very natural and very light in pretty much all the modes. It just gets slightly heavier, but this is great. This is a high quality product. This thing's sticking for about 92 grand. It's about 55 grand now. But dude, this is worth it, honestly. And you know, everybody's gonna ask me, well, which one's the best? You know, you've driven all of them, you know, the Benzes, the Lexus, you know, which one is it? Here's the thing, they're all the best. You're gonna buy, if you're in the market for something like this, okay, in any of these vehicles, just choose whichever one you like the looks of the most. You know, if you like the Lexus, go get the Lexus. If you like the Benz, go get the Benz. Audi, you know, whichever brand you grew up loving or whatever. You know, if you're looking at the top tier kind of flagship sedans like this, like the 7, the S-Class, LS Lexus, stuff like that, just go with whichever brand you like the most. You know, if you like this vehicle, you know, the thing I like about BMW is that they really do depreciate pretty well, and it makes a lot of sense to buy it used. Like, this is like half the price now, and it's a 2020 model year vehicle. So if you want to take advantage of it, that's one thing I noticed about BMW. They're pretty good, and with the warranty, of course, and it's easily warrantyable. Honestly, the factory warranty probably transfers over to you, but if not, you know, just buy an extended one and enjoy it. These Beamers are surprisingly pretty reliable. You know, they've come a long way. I mean, hell, Toyota uses this engine and this power plant inside of their Supra. You know what I'm saying? It's checked off. It's a pretty reliable power plant, but it does put the power down extremely well. Very effortless for street driving. It just gets up, moves. You're going to be super satisfied with this. It soaks up all the bumps insanely well. And you're like, oh, which one rides the best? Technically, the S-Class does. I mean, it's like 1% better. You know, does this handle the best? Kind of. You know, it's the BMW, so of course it's going to have a slightly superior handling characteristic, of course. And it's got that carbon core kind of center tub thing going on. I mean, cool, I guess. The point is, it feels neutral, it feels balanced, it feels rewarding to drive. All of the vehicles in this class do, and I'm glad that BMW hasn't screwed it up here. So if you like the looks, if you like this big baller grille look, you know what I'm saying? It's nice, you know what I'm saying? It makes a statement. It's so freaking long. It's not even the extended wheelbase, so that's pretty crazy. Jesus Christ, like the lane keep assist, dude, I would turn that off. I am about to talk about more of this stuff in the interior segment, but dude, the lane keep assist is so freaking intrusive. Like, it really just grabbed the steering wheel from you, and it just tries to keep you in the lane. It really fights you, which is crazy. It's not just a little warning. It's very active. Well, let me tell you another thing. You know, it's a very large vehicle. It's very easy to place this out on the road. All these cars are such a serene driving experience. You have to watch my S-Class versus LS 460 video to really kind of understand and know what I'm talking about. All these cars are great. You know, you keep asking me which one's the best. They all have their unique driving characteristics. So there's something that all these vehicles kind of focus in on and hone in on, and they try to kind of deliver to you in a different way, you know what I'm saying? But what BMW obviously does is going to offer you the kind of best driving characteristic. The xDrive is great. The motor and transmission are going to react pretty much the best, so that's kind of the best things that they're known for. But all these vehicles are going to be comfortable and they're going to be quiet. They're going to be at the highest level for those reasons. So there is that. And another thing with this 740 version, the fuel economy is excellent with these vehicles. So you're going to be using up a lot less petrol compared to like the 750, like the M750 with like the freaking over 500 horsepower that it's got. Yeah, that's kind of unnecessary. You'll want it because you hear it on paper, but honestly, this is overkill already. This is effortless. It's a lot like the old LS 460, you know, when it only had 380 horsepower, it sounded like garbage on paper. But, you know, speaking of 6 cylinders, so obviously the new LS 500 uses a twin turbo V6. That's kind of, here's what Lexus is kind of trying to do. The people who are in the market for something like this, the 740i's and the kind of V6 versions of the S-Class and the Audis and stuff like that, well, Lexus offers you the most powerful twin turbo V6 on the market. They have the most powerful one. That's the only engine option, but it hits above more, it gives you more horsepower than these V6s or inline-sixes. It's not quite as powerful as like the V8 options that the Germans offer, but it's a little bit more fuel efficient. It's cheaper to buy. That's kind of where Lexus is trying to be at. So it's kind of like that in-between vehicle where it's faster, or it's supposed to be faster than this, but this is really freaking quick, dude. This is so satisfying. You might be like, oh, but what about the V8 sound? Honestly, when you get up to this level of V8s, they really subdue it, and the turbocharged V8s, they don't sound all that impressive, honestly. So you're not really missing a whole lot on noise. So the 740i with the inline-six is going to be enough, and obviously being an inline-six is going to be smoother than a V6. So that's a huge advantage that BMW has over the other counterparts in this segment. So if you're looking at this kind of segment, inline-six is obviously going to be a more superior engine option. Okay, so I like driving the car. Obviously, I like driving all the vehicles. So just there you go. Do with that information what you will. You'll be satisfied with any of them. So more importantly, let's talk about this interior. So that's the other thing. With BMW, all their interiors, at least from the pictures and stuff like that, they kind of look like the other BMW interiors because that's kind of what they use, but with slightly better materials and slightly better design cues and all that good stuff. And that is true. However, when you're actually sitting in here, there's a lot to take in and appreciate. So let's talk about it. A lot more uses of digital screens here. So that's kind of the future and where all this industry is kind of going, all these digital screens and all that good stuff. So the gauge cluster is completely digital. It has like this reverse tachometer thing going on. And, you know, it's nice. All the screens, at least in this class, and especially with BMWs, they have very nice, crispy looking, high quality, high definition screens. So I like that. Very good, very clear. I like it a lot, but it's a little bit more difficult to get used to. I have kind of no idea how to go about using any of this stuff. I'll be honest with you. There's definitely a learning curve with all this stuff. So there is that, but it does look very good. I'm sure if you own the vehicle, you can get used to it. So there's that. Next, let's talk about this infotainment, because this infotainment, again, you know, it doesn't look super fancy in here. It kind of does look like every other BMW, but everything is functional. Everything works for the most part. So there is that. So it's obviously a little bit larger for the 7 Series, of course, and it's a new iDrive system. So I previously owned the BMW 440i. It was a 2019 model year. I really liked the previous generation iDrive system because it was a little bit easier to use, but after I was playing around with this, it's actually pretty easy as well. Also, the switch gear, the knobs that they use for the 7 Series, a little bit more crispy, a little bit better to use, kind of a little bit tighter feeling, all the controls, if you will, all the buttons and all that good stuff. So there is that as well. But yes, I did get used to this screen. It definitely looks very nice, like I mentioned with the gauge cluster. So it shows you a bunch of nice information. Obviously, that's the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but I'm pretty sure it's actually a wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, because that's what I had in my 440i, and you do have a wireless charging pad right there. Curiously enough, they did put a USB port right in between two cup holders. They're not very large cup holders, but they are cup holders, so kind of an interesting place to put that. But anyway, so about this steering wheel, you know, they always get the ergonomics of, like, you know, driving perfectly. You know, the driving position is perfect. The steering wheel is the excellent size. I really like these paddle shifters. They do a good job with that. Everything, all the controls have a more solid feel to it. You know what I'm saying? Compared to the other vehicles. You have some buttons here. Again, kind of difficult for me to get used to, but it is what it is. You do have a heated steering wheel because this has the cold weather package. So that was one of the changes that they made for the 2020 cars. You know, they put the heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel, so that's smart. Also, the turn signal, it's not a douchebag turn signal. It's actually like a regular turn signal, works like a regular one. It's perfect. I love it. You got automatic headlights, automatic windshield wipers, love all that. You got one-touch up and down windows for all 4 windows, love that. And a very thick glass, like I mentioned, no problems there. I like the doors. They're not super heavy, but this car has a nice bank vault feel to it. You know what I'm saying? You close the door, everything feels tight. It's very good. Now, I will say all the cars feel like a bank vault in this category, in this class. These are the best cars on the planet. These are the top level vehicles. So when you drive these cars, does it feel a certain way? Is it superior to regular cars? Yes, it is. This is worth it. This has a totally different feeling from other vehicles. Even in the BMW lineup, this has another totally different feel to it, and I love that. You know what I'm saying? So it's good. It feels like a nice traditional luxury car. They didn't do any stupid nonsense to it, like make the steering overweighted or pretend to be something it's not. So that's good. Door handles have a nice design. This wood texture is very beautiful. I do like this, slightly on the glossy side, but I do like it nonetheless. You got the memory seat functions, of course. It's got the Harman Kardon sound system, which I love. This Harman Kardon does sound very, very good. No issues there, but it's not the absolute highest level that you can get, but I'm not too worried about that. This isn't fully loaded to the brim. They still kept the options kind of low on this vehicle, but it's still nice. It still has everything that you would kind of want because the 7 Series just naturally throw a little bit more options in here. So let's talk about the climate control. So here's the thing. It's a 7 Series. They got to be a little bit bougie with it. They kind of defeated and stop using the kind of physical controls, which is what BMW used to do, and I absolutely love that. Here they're using kind of a touchscreen thing, but at the same time, I kind of like it. It's pretty good, well integrated, looks very good. But I kind of still wish that it was the physical buttons, but it is what it is. You still have other physical buttons around it, so it's still easy to use. Don't get me wrong, it's not a big deal. You know, it is what it is. I do like the BMW shifters. They are great. I like it. It's one of my more favorite shifters, actually, electronic shifters. But anyway, traction control off, all your adaptive controls here, sport, comfort, eco, all that stuff. You have a myriad of cameras and stuff like that, so it's pretty much impossible to crash these vehicles. Plenty of safety functions, all that stuff. Electronic parking brake, all that good stuff. Center armrest, not a huge amount of space, but you can definitely put something in there. There's a USB-C option right there. The door pockets are a good size. The glove box is a nice size as well. You have these two kind of sunroof thing going on here, similar to the S-Class. So you have one for the driver and passenger seat and one for the rear occupants as well. And strangely enough, you do have memory seats for the passengers, so that's pretty cool. There's a lot of adjustability in the seats. They're like electronically controlled, like this leg extension thing. You know, everything is adjustable, easy to get comfortable. Steering wheels, telescoping, all that good stuff. I mean, you can definitely get comfortable in here, no problem. Visibility is not even an issue. Very easy car to drive. Comfort of these seats are amazing, of course, like in all the seats in this class. So that's fantastic. I love that. And now let's talk about those rear seats. So the rear seats, let me tell you something. There's no L or whatever on the back trunk there. It's not a 740Li, but let me tell you, I think this is the most amount of space in this class. It is gargantuan back there. And to think that they have an extended wheelbase on top of this, that's insane. No wonder this is the underpinnings for a Rolls-Royce. So this is a massive vehicle. Appreciate that. You can really stretch out back there. You can be like a elephant and stretch out back there, so that's great. And you got plenty of space back there. There's not a whole lot going on. It doesn't have the executive seating crap or anything like that. I believe you do have heated rear seats back there. Obviously you have your climate control back there as well. You have one peasant blocker just for the rear windshield, so there's that. Nothing on the sides. So again, it's more than enough. Something to daily drive. This is pretty much everything you need. It's a very nice black on black spec, so it's aged perfectly. There's no creaks and rattles. However, I will say when you kind of lean up against the seat, it will kind of creak like that a little bit, but that's about the only thing I've noticed with this car. Otherwise, it's bank volt solid. When I drove the 750 Li, that was 100,000 miles. Very tight. These things age pretty damn well, other than this little squeak that I've noticed here. But other than that, this is great. Trunk is stupid large. It's a massive trunk back there, so you can fit anything you want. When you lift up the little cover, there's only a battery down there. There's no extra space or a spare tire, so nothing like that. But for the most part, Great car. Is this my most favorite? Like I mentioned, they're all my favorite. You can give me any of them. You know, whatever's like the cheapest, whatever's the best deal, just go with it. You know, this for $55 or whatever, $50,000. This is pretty sensational. This is a great car for that much money. I like how it's like literally half the price, so enjoy it with a warranty if you want to get it. You'll definitely be able to enjoy this for a very long time. It's surprisingly reliable now, especially with this inline-six. Very economical, very fuel efficient, and plenty of thrust. You should be very satisfied with this. So with that, if you found value with this video, please hit the like button if you can, or subscribe. And also, oh, how could I forget the freaking twirling your finger thing? It's got all that good stuff going on. Yeah, I totally forgot to mention that. And it's actually pretty functional. I actually do kind of like that. It's a gimmick, but it's a nice gimmick. You know what I'm saying? It's a nice little, like, you know, lazy little function. You just kind of sit here and kind of twirl your fingers. It's nice. It's the small things in life. You know what I'm saying? So it's got some nice little features, nice little gimmicks. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you again for watching. The dealership information will be down in the description box below. You can contact Danny. But thank you again. Take care. Goodbye.